Halo semuanya.
Nah, sekarang kita ke tahap selanjutnya nih, gimana pengalaman dia interview atau wawancara pekerjaan di Indonesia. After sending your application, how long did it usually take for you to hear back from the companies?
Different institutes replied very differently, and many of them didn't even reply. But I remember one institute replied in 2 weeks, and some in 3 weeks, some even after very, very long, like 1 month, 2 months. So depending upon the institute and their need to have a teacher at a certain time in the future, whether they have many times they interview others, and when the others whom they have already interviewed, they could not join them, later on they contact you. That is why sometimes it takes long.
So it means that you don't always get to be informed.
Many times I don't even get informed about the status.
Okay. What typically happened? Was it just interviews, or were there other steps, or maybe other skill tests?
Yeah, as soon as the application is accepted, they start talking to you via email or the phone number. And the first things they start talking about after accepting you is they would like to arrange an interview. They tell you, okay, we would like to have an interview along with a micro-teaching session. Sometimes they ask you, okay, we'll interview you, but we will like a video of you already teaching so that they can guess from there. And sometimes there is no any demo, just the interview. And sometimes there is no even interview. If the position is a freelance position, they just take you in. Like, okay, we liked your CV and we like you on this particular day or days. We would like you to work with us. There have been instances with me where their initial person who has been assigned to contact, like, they just talk with us. They ask some basic questions about our background and stuff and check our accent. And then they ask, okay, we are going to have an interview with the HR. Okay, and then it's final. But there have been companies where there are 3 stages. Okay, initial person, a video call or a voice call, then the HR, and then because it's a third party company, so they would like you to also interview the school that they are going to assign.
So in the previous video, you talked about that you've applied around 70 jobs. How many of them that you got information so you actually can go further for interview process?
Very less. Around got response from 10 jobs.
Do you think language matters here? Do they expect you to speak Indonesian as well, or they're fine you only speak English?
All the interviews that I took, they actually were conducted in English because primarily my job is to teach English, right? So they expect this. But sometimes they ask you, okay, do you know Bahasa? I don't think in English teaching it matters. They even want you to not speak it with students at all. When many times I go to schools and they are like, okay, mister, you can speak Bahasa. Please don't let the students know you can speak because they might start speaking Indonesian.
Yeah, what were the interviews like?
So basically they check your background, right? Your education and stuff. So it all starts with the introduction. There are some primarily very important questions that almost in every interview they ask me. Like experience. What about your experience teaching Indonesian students? And then the second most important question was, how did you teach them? Now this is the most important question. It has to have that core inside. The answer has to have that core inside where you tell them your proper strategy of how you taught, which curriculum taught, whether you included technology in your teaching style or not, and proper teaching methodology terms need to be there in your answer. Like, and then, okay, you taught this way. How do you assess your students? How do you give feedback to your students? How do you manage students when they don't listen to you?
So how did you prepare for these interviews? What did you prepare before going there, or if you do it online, how did you prepare that? Maybe you can share from various aspects.
Yeah, so first of all, initially when I started taking interviews, I didn't prepare at all. I was like, okay, I've done my master's in education and bachelor of studies in English language, and I've taken a couple of interviews in my country, so no need to. But with more and more experience in interviews, I realized that they need preparation because the culture is different, and the approach to teaching here culturally is different, and everything is different, of course. So is education and how education is taking place in institutes. So how did I prepare then? I started studying, okay? So if in every interview they are asking me about how do I teach. I need to look at internet how to teach this subject from centered approach, from teacher centered approach, how to teach grammar and stuff. And I started searching these questions. I used to, because I started taking many interviews and didn't prepare, so I was like, okay, these are the common questions that I just also mentioned. They ask, and I need to write them down. I need to guess some extra other questions that they might ask. And along with that, I also did TESOL, Teaching of English as a Foreign Language, which also helped me quite a lot to build my teaching skills. So automatically, if you are doing a course like this, you become automatically you become able to answer many of these questions, because it's all about teaching, right? And then I prepared every time I went for an interview, and successfully each time I was better than before.
Did the interviewers raise concerns about your visa or stay permit status? Did you ever feel like that impacted your chance of being hired?
That's the single factor that impacted my job applications the most. Like, because I have master's degree and I was confident of my, I had preparation and everything, I still couldn't get selected. Many times, sometimes the principals or the hiring HR team, because the government keeps changing the rules, they do not know that any spouse of Indonesia from another country can work in Indonesia legally if they have work permit.
It's possible that the employers do not even know that foreigners with ITAS or ITAS sponsored by Indonesian spouse can still work legally in Indonesia, because they are so used to foreigners with work visa or ITAS. And they don't know about this, so it can also kind of be a challenge. There are probably times where you are the one who needs to tell them about this stuff.
Yes.
So during the interview, you guys of course discuss about salary, right? Were you expected to accept local salary rates, or did they offer expat rates? And were you able to negotiate it? And how was that process?
Yeah, it's a very nice question. When they offer because they know from CV and the initial questions about background and stuff, that we are from abroad, right? We are foreigners here. As soon as they ask our expectations, they are already guessing expectation, not local. But the number that you tell, it's equally important to other questions, whether culture is the reason or any other reason. But my experience is, if you tell too high number or a number which is beyond their expectations, they won't come back to negotiate. This is my experience. Look into Indeed and LinkedIn and Glints and Glassdoor, all these applications. From there you can guess, okay, what is foreigner's salary, because sometimes in many jobs the salary number is given there, and then tell them accordingly so that you don't answer this question wrong and then don't hear back from them. Sometimes they also negotiate. Some of them, I remember some of the employers, okay, they ask a follow-up question. Is it negotiable?
So for the micro-teaching, can you please tell us more about that?
Many times, like they send you the files, they send you the lesson that we are supposed to teach. And they ask us to, okay, this is the lesson and this is the date, you will be coming at this particular location and you will be teaching this. So sometimes the students would be there and you will be doing macro teaching there with the students in the class, and sometimes no, there would be only the hiring team and you will be doing so in front of them only. But I remember there was once a time when I went for an interview. They didn't even inform me for demo teaching, but they just asked me all of a sudden, okay, we would like to see you how you teach. So it was basically the interview. They didn't even inform me that they would also take demo or micro teaching session, but they all of a sudden asked me to do so without any lesson given by them or me knowing that this would be happening.
Did they tell you about the result immediately, or they told you to wait and they will contact? Have you ever not heard anything from employers even after interview?
Many times they just tell you, okay, we'll let you know, and you don't hear anything back from them. But if you hear, it means you are selected, and
they are highly considering you, right?
Yeah.
How long does it usually take for you to wait from the interview to any news about rejection or continuing to the next stage?
It again depends. There are 6 months left in the new academic year session to start, and they already started the hiring process. So they will take your interview in January, and in July the new academic year will start. So they will take your interview in January and finish with it, and you will not hear anything back from them till July, like till June or July. So, but sometimes if it's an emergency position and one of their teachers left, so they'll ask you to join all of a sudden. And many times it's also written on the title of the job in these applications used for finding jobs that okay, urgently hiring.
Now, looking back, is there anything you wish you had known or done differently in your interviews?
I think that time when I thought so is gone now, because now I kind of know everything after applying in 70 plus jobs that okay, all these things that need to be taken care of. But there was a time when in the beginning when I kept applying, I wish I had known this, I had answered this differently. It's basically, I do have this in mind. I did have this in mind, not now because of regular experience, but because I gave many interviews, and in the beginning I thought that after the interview I could have answered. It's all related to questions and answers. Like every time this thought came in my mind before, it was always related to I could have answered this way, I could have answered that way.
The last question. What tips would you like to give to other foreigners preparing for job interviews in Indonesia? You can talk about many aspects, like from like being on time and the outfit or anything.
Of course, there are some obvious things like being on time, and also the shirt should be tucked in, very formal dressing. I would say no need to wear a coat, a tie, because culturally, from my experience, there is no need of tie or coat here, or a jacket or something. No, just proper formal business-like shirt and formal pants. That's enough. I think the other things are all related to teaching methodology and being humble and not over pride. And also, whenever you answer, you try to give them the flexible mode from your side, like okay, I expect this amount of salary, but feel free to negotiate. Like before they ask you, or because you don't hear anything from them, you let them know that I'm friendly enough or flexible enough to come to terms in terms of whatever you say or whatever you let me know afterwards. Many schools here, good institutes, they expect us as teachers to have a sound knowledge of internationally well recognized and standardized curriculums, even if they are not going to use you for them, but they expect you to have their knowledge, like Cambridge. By this I don't mean just like surface knowledge, like how they are taught, what is the function, how these each of these curriculums are assessed, taught, and what is their international value, why people choose one over another.
Any tips for those who may have their interviews online, Zoom, technical stuff or anything?
Yeah, for this you need to be very good at Zoom annotation. There, like whatever application they are asking you to use, whether it's Google Meet or Zoom, and your demo will be conducted there. It's really necessary that you know how to use that application, and then what strategies you are going to use to make your content interesting enough, so that even if it's online, it's interesting enough. What strategies you are going to use, and I would suggest go beyond than what they give you to deliver. They send you a demo, some slides to teach. Adjust them, make changes to them, make them more visual. Give more than what they ask, so that they look at you more than what they need.
Okay. Whoa! Thank you so much for answering the questions and sharing your experiences. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you again next time.
Bye bye. Thank you.